Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, I saw another article on Facebook. And when I saw this article, I was like, this is so ridiculous and so outrageous. I said, I have to talk about this. So, I'm going to share my screen um, with you all and read from this article and share my thoughts about the article. So, you have Donald Trump refusing to acknowledge John Lewis. As many people know, John Lewis was a civil rights activist. You know, he fought for voting rights, he fought for rights in public accommodations, he fought for civil rights in general. The brother would go on to become a congressman representing Georgia, um, fighting to protect the advancements of African American people and other marginalized groups of people. But you had Donald Trump like refusing to make any kind of acknowledgement of the achievements of John Lewis. And what I'm going to do is just read these excerpts from this article and share my thoughts. So it says that President Trump repeatedly stopped short of praising the late Democratic Representative John Lewis during a recent interview. Instead, he was boasting about his own credentials in serving the Black community. And, you know, a reporter basically asked him, how would history remember John Lewis? And Donald Trump replied, I don't know. I really don't know. And then Donald Trump went on to complain about John Lewis not going to his inauguration. And he says he chose. I never met John Lewis. I don't believe. And as this article points out, John Lewis was a civil rights leader. He spent decades representing Georgia's 5th congressional district. He died at 80 in July, 7 months after he was found to have pancreatic cancer. He was known for marching with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. He was one of the speakers at the March on Washington, the youngest leader there. This man has a long track record of fighting for our people. He faced the police dogs, he faced the batons, he faced jail time, fighting for our civil rights, fighting for voting rights. You all are familiar with the March on Selma. You're familiar with that. You're familiar with the freedom rides that this brother was involved in to just fight for basic human rights, basic civil rights, basic rights that we take for granted today. Like many of the things that we do every day that we take for granted, we don't even think twice about it. It's not a big deal to us because it's so regular and so ordinary behavior. But these are basic things that he fought for. And you had this guy, Donald Trump, downplaying his significance. And then, also, the reporter pressed Donald Trump, for a better answer. He basically said, do you find him to be impressive? And then Donald Trump went on to say he could not say one way or the other whether or not John Lewis was impressive. Despite all the sacrifice that John Lewis made, despite all the things that he has done in his life to advance civil and human rights for African Americans and other people, this guy basically said he couldn't say one way or the other whether or not John Lewis was impressive. And really, I'm not surprised by any of this. Donald Trump is a racist. He is a white supremacist. He panders to these white supremacists all the time. So I'm not surprised that he will respond this way. These types of responses feed his base, a base that is hostile to black people, a base that is hostile to civil rights. You know, as far as he's concerned, by making these kind of comments about this distinguished African American leader, he is winning points with his racist, xenophobic, ignorant base. So I'm not surprised at all that he would say these things. Um, he said, I find a lot of people impressive. I find many people not impressive. But no, he didn't come to my inauguration. It's like he's so butthurt and bitter about somebody coming to his inauguration that he's still holding a grudge with a man that's passed away. You know, after John Lewis has passed away, he's still upset because he didn't attend his inauguration. I mean, why should he be surprised that John Lewis wouldn't attend his inauguration? Donald Trump represents everything that John Lewis fought against during his lifetime. He represents the ignorance that John Lewis was fighting against. He represents the bigotry and racism that John Lewis was fighting against. So it's no wonder that John Lewis wouldn't be at his, at his inauguration. It shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. And, frankly, I'm not surprised that Donald Trump would react in this kind of juvenile way, because this man is a bitter, thin-skinned, overly emotional, sensitive, punkified president, man. That's what he is. This man held a grudge against John McCain after John McCain passed away. So I'm not surprised by this kind of unpresidential, juvenile type of behavior coming from him. And then that's not even the worst of it. The stuff that I talked about is not even the worst of it. He talked about how John Lewis didn't come to his State of the Union speeches. He went on to say that nobody has done more for Black Americans than I have. This is what this guy, Donald Trump, actually believes. He said nobody has done for Black Americans, more than he has. And he goes on, went on to say that he thinks that it was a big mistake that John Lewis didn't come to his State of the Union addresses. And, the idea that this guy thinks he's done more for Black people than anybody else is just insane. It's just absolutely ridiculous, man. The most that he can point to is some half-ass criminal justice reform law that he got passed through the legislature. That's the only thing that he can point to that he's actually responsible for. Another thing that he will try to use is, the unemployment rate in the Black community, going down. But that's something that started under Obama. It's something that is a direct result of President Obama's policies. It has nothing to do with anything that Donald Trump has initiated. It has nothing to do with any laws that Donald Trump has passed or any policies that he has implemented. And we see that things have gotten worse with this COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of Black people are unemployed as a result of that. Disproportionate numbers of Black people are suffering because of that. So let me see. There's a couple of other things I want to touch on real quick. It talks about he said, you cannot, this is what John Lewis said. He said, you cannot be at home with something that you feel that is wrong. Basically talking about this Trump administration and what it represents. Yeah, so I just had to share a couple of views about this because I just think it's sickening that you had this man, Donald Trump, actually suggesting that he's done more for Black people than John Lewis, and then, more than anybody else, even more than, President Obama. I mean, there are so many other people who've done more for Black people. I mean, all you have to do is, if you just look at Lyndon B. Johnson's administration, even though Lyndon B. Johnson said racist things and all that kind of stuff, under his administration, uh, historic civil rights legislation was passed. If you look at Obama's administration, he reached many consent decrees with various police departments around the country to deal with the issue of police brutality and racial profiling. Under the Obama administration, they enacted the Fair Sentencing Act to reduce the disparities between powder cocaine and crack cocaine, disparities that have resulted in the mass incarceration of Black people, the unfair sentencing of Black people. So, and then, under Obama, you had the Brothers Keeper program and many other initiatives. Obama fought to protect affirmative action. He did things to help improve the Black community. Did he do enough? Obviously not, but he did do many things that were beneficial to the Black community, far more than Donald Trump. Donald Trump has, like, as one of my friends on Facebook said, Donald Trump hasn't done things for Black people. He's done things to Black people. Things such as going after affirmative action, things such as trying to suppress Black voters, things such as trying to back away from consent decrees that were entered to reform police departments, saying all kinds of racist things about Black people, referring to Africa and Haiti as shithole countries, calling Black protesters at NFL games sons of bitches, basically saying that only Black people live like this, when going through ghetto communities in Chicago, saying things like he doesn't want Black people counting his money, calling on his supporters to attack Black protesters at his rally. Donald Trump has done things to Black people. He's done very little for Black people. And it's a damn shame that he would suggest that he's done more than a man that fought so that we could have voting rights in this country, claiming that he's done more than a man that fought so that we could have basic rights, like the right to use transportation without being forced to the back of the bus or being forced off the bus. Fought for those basic things. How can you say that you've done more for Black people when this man literally put his life on the line for Black people? But this is the kind of white arrogance that we see. An administration that deliberately panders to racism is talking about it did more for Black people than anybody else. A man who said that those racist, white supremacist bastards in Charlottesville were some very fine people. That's the man that claims that he's done more for Black people than anybody else. It's insane. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. And that's why, like, voting matters. You got all these fake pro-Black people on here telling you not to vote. These ignoramuses telling you that your vote doesn't matter and stuff like that. And these are the same people that want to complain about the problems that can be addressed by electing the right people to address them. Yeah, so this election matters. If you're not registered to vote, make sure you register to vote and make sure you vote in this upcoming election. Anybody at this point is better than Trump. Trump has to go. And another reminder of how much he needs to go is just the way he has dealt with this coronavirus situation. This man, was asked about, the coronavirus and everything. And he basically, the reporter said something about like how at least 1,000 people are dying a day because of coronavirus. And this man basically said that it is what it is. This guy is pretending like he's doing something about this virus when we got over 150,000 people died because of this virus. And still this man is just leaving everything up to the states to decide. And you got these ignorant leaders in the South that are just letting, opening up everything, despite the fact that we got a pandemic going on. They're opening up everything, and we see the numbers of people infected with that virus are going up in those areas where they have just opened up everything. In all those southern red states, we're seeing this stuff going on. And he's the one perpetuating this ignorance. The one, you know, suggesting that it's cool to walk around with no mask on, exposing yourself to this virus. Somebody that's so irresponsible that they would have mass rallies in the middle of a pandemic and basically encourage people not to wear masks. Mass rallies such as the one that fool Herman Cain attended and ended up dead because of it. So that's not what leadership looks like. This man needs to go. He doesn't see the deaths of 1,000 people a day as a big deal. To him, it just is what it is. That's not leadership. That's a failure in leadership, and this man has to go. This man has shown time and time again his utter disrespect for the Black community. And he needs to go, and we need to vote him out. So let me see what folks are saying before I sign off. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I just had to talk about this issue before I went to bed, man. I just saw this article and I was like, I got to talk about this. Yeah, and this point right here made by Covina, man, is on point. Like Donald Trump and the GOP right now are enemies of civil rights for Black people. And it's just so obvious. I mean, a prime example of that is their assault on voting rights. They are the ones that brought a lawsuit to gut the Voting Rights Act. It was Republican justices that voted to gut that Voting Rights Act. It's Republican governors and Republican lawmakers on the state level that have enacted laws to suppress Black voters immediately after that decision was decided in Shelby County versus Holder. They immediately rushed to implement these measures that were designed to suppress the number of Black people to come out to vote. Places like North Carolina, where they reduced early voting, implemented voter ID requirements and restriction on third-party registrations and all kinds of restrictions targeted with surgical precision, in the words of the court, towards Black communities to reduce the numbers of Black people that come out to vote. But yet and still, despite this effort, this ongoing effort to reduce and suppress the Black vote, you have people out here talking about your vote doesn't matter. If your vote didn't matter, these people wouldn't be going all out of their way to strip you of your vote. They wouldn't have suppressed your vote for a long time, for decades, making it illegal for you to vote, terrorizing you if you tried to exercise your right to vote. And today trying to suppress your vote with all these modern day Jim Crow type tactics. So yeah, man, it's important that each and every one of us exercise our right to vote and become informed about the issues. You had these do nothing, know nothing, fake pro-Blacks on here telling you not to vote. Not only do they suggest you shouldn't vote, like that fool Tariq Nasheed had a don't vote campaign at a crucial time. Not only are they telling you not to vote, some of these people are telling you you shouldn't protest, you shouldn't do anything, but watch them on YouTube. That's basically all they want you to do, is watch them on YouTube, buy their products, and keep their pockets fat while our people suffer. So let me see what else folks are saying before I close out. I want to thank y'all again for tuning in. Yeah, so Def Rocker said he knows somebody black that voted for Trump to defend gun rights. I mean, that's so ridiculous. I mean, we have so many issues on the table. And, you know, gun rights is not the most important issue on the table for Black people. And even people that support gun control, they're not trying to take your guns away from you or anything like that. They're talking about reasonable um, limits on people you know having access to certain weapons. You know, somebody with a criminal record shouldn't be able to buy an assault rifle, or somebody um, that's a terrorist shouldn't be able to buy an assault rifle. There should be background checks. Somebody should not be able to purchase a military style weapon that's not designed to defend a home or not designed for hunting, but is designed to kill mass numbers of people in a matter of seconds. Those are reasonable restrictions. Um, so it's just a shame that somebody would make that their top priority as a Black person. Let's see. Yeah, so Cohen Davis said that uh going back to the last video that I did, he said Jaguar Wright has some mental health issues, and she may have issues because I know that she said that she had a nervous breakdown or something like that at one point. But that doesn't mean that what she was saying was wrong, though. Like just because somebody has some issues that they're dealing with, that doesn't mean that they're lying. Um, but we'll see how it shakes out, man. But anyway, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to do probably one more video for the night. I want to thank y'all for tuning in and hanging in there with me. I appreciate it. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. And also, I want to encourage you all, if there are subjects that you want me to address or articles or anything, videos that you want me to respond to, just let me know in the comment section. Peace and blessings, everyone. Have a good night.